to be equal because the character could turn around the scene, but you can use set up the Z effect to be more or less based on gravity in a sense and have it help that. So you can say, well, don't go up and down quite as much as you do side to side, and now it'll only go up and down half as much as it would side to side in world space. If the character lies on its side, this is still sitting in world space though. I'm just going to leave them all set at 100 now. You really need to adjust this sort of thing once we're got some animation to test and to set it up for every shot possibly even. To get this to drive the bone, there's a couple of different ways we can do it. The simplest way is to add a IK solver to the bone. I'm just going to change the goal size to make it a bit smaller here, and then simply link the goal up to that point helper. Now you can see it's driving the bone up and pushing the stomach a long way up. Now I think we have way too much effect on it here. And there's this lag happening to it that's actually making the stomach lag a little bit behind. You can see it bounce a little bit there. Let's go back and do some adjustments to that. And let's take the tension down on the legs to a little lower. Oops. Let's increase the mass a bit more. And see what we get as a result. So you can now see it lagging further behind as it changes one direction or the other. You can see the whole stomach area now lagging behind a little bit and doing a little bit of settle at the end. Like I said though, it creates an incredibly slow rig at this point. If I try and move the character, and I have to remember we are also capturing here at the same time, but I almost can't move the character anymore, where it wasn't a problem to move before, it was moving in real time. And that's strictly because the spring controllers is just killing performance. You can see, even with my capture going, I can move this character reasonably well with a reasonably dense mesh on here, and a fair bit being calculated as far as calculating the elbow and knee joints and whatnot. It's because being at frame 0, this doesn't have to calculate much. So what you need to do is one of two things. During animation you can turn iterations to 0. What that'll do is it'll actually dump the cache. It actually is going to dump out the cache as the iteration gets changed. So you're actually not carrying around any of that data. Move along to frame 140 again, and you can see we've got our speed back. This is the way you're going to have to animate and not see a little bit of flex, and then go and turn it on. The other way to deal with the is to actually turn the effects down, and this essentially has the same kind of effect. It will allow the speed to come back because there's no effect being added anymore. I tend to prefer to turn down the iterations just because I want to make sure that these values stay at whatever I happen to have set them at. And I'm not too concerned with losing the cache each time because it usually means that I'm animating. And as soon as you move or change the positions in the animation on the character, the cache has to be all regenerated anyhow. So turning off the iterations and losing the cache isn't really a big deal to me. It isn't like I'm losing anything that isn't going to have to be recalculated. from scratch anyhow. So now what I've got is right elbow and right knee that's corrected or reasonably corrected. I've got a belly that now does a little bit of jiggle. I could have even added the same sort of thing into other bones. I could have put one into the chest bones here and had those things bounce a little bit for the chest area. I could have actually just skinned in an extra little bone here and linked it to it, and just had that bone just on a little bit of a jiggle to move the very nipple area and a surrounding area around it to bounce up and down. So you can do a fair bit with it, but again, you need to be able to shut it off at some point. It's relatively easy to script to be able to shut that off, and I'll show you that in the next stage, so that you can actually just generate a single button that will go in, turn off all of your spring controllers and turn them back on again, so that you're not having to hunt through your model, find them all, and do it each time you want to set up a preview render or something.